Welcome to the Suffolk County Community College Entrepreneurial Assistance Center, MWBE webinar to learn the New York State certification application process and the supporting documents that you'll need to complete the application. My name is Kenya Harvey, and I am the MWBE consultant here at the center, as well as the project coordinator. So I just wanted to do a few housekeeping before I get started with the presentation. We have chat options, and we have made it possible for you to be allowed to talk. So if you have any questions during the presentation, you're more than welcome to chime in, especially if it's something that I'm going over at that moment. And then we'll have time for Q&A at the end as well. So starting off in this presentation, I do want to talk a little bit about Article 15A of the Executive Law. This article was signed into law on July 19th, 1988. And in result, it created the Division of Minority and Women's Business Development with a goal to promote employment and business opportunities on state contract for minorities and women. Under this law, New York State agencies are charged with establishing employment and business participation goals for minorities and women. There were a few amendments to this Article 15. On July 15th, 2019, the governor signed into law, extending the MWBE program to 2024, which is really around the corner. Right. There was a disparity study recently done. I'm just waiting on the results for that to see how far, much more time we'll have in the program, as well as the personal net worth increased to 15 million, with the 1.3 million threshold to complete the certification application. And also the recertification period changed. It went from 3 years to 5 years. Giving certified minority and women business owners more time to utilize the certification. A little bit about the Division of Minority and Women's Business Development. Well, their mission is to promote equality of economic opportunities for MWBEs and to eliminate those barriers to participation in state contracts. Their key objectives are to encourage and insist state agencies to award a fair share of contracts to MWBEs, to review applications by businesses seeking the certification and maintain a directory of certified MWBEs, and also to promote the business development of MWBEs through education and outreach to New York State agencies as well as MWBEs. The certifications held with this program are the MBE certification, which are for minority business owners. We have the WBE certification for women business owners. And then we have the MWBE certification for minority and a woman business owner. Eligibility requirements. Under this Article 15A of the Executive Law, any for-profit firm that is at least 51% owned, operated, and controlled by citizens or permanent resident alien who is either a woman or a minority is eligible for the certification. The types of groups, minority groups who are considered eligible are Black persons having origins from any of the Black African racial groups, Hispanic persons of Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, Central or South American descent, or either Native American or Latin American origin, regardless of race. Asian-specific persons having origins from the Far East, Southeast Asia, or the Pacific Islands. We also have Asian Indian subcontinent persons having origins from the Indian subcontinent, and Native American persons having origins in any of the original peoples of North America. This is the group of minorities who are considered eligible for certification. If you're not from any of these groups, you would not be eligible. Eligibility requirements continue. All businesses seeking MBE, WBE, or the MWBE certification must be independently owned, operated, and controlled by the minority of the woman member. The ownership must be real, substantial, and continuing, and the minority or the woman member must exercise the authority to independently control the day-to-day business operations, right? Or be able to who makes the decisions for the business. Personal net worth restriction. Each minority or woman owner upon whom certification is based cannot have a personal net worth exceeding 15 million after allowable deductions. This does not include ownership interest in the certified MWBE firm, the individual's equity in his or her primary residence, up to 750,000 of any qualified retirement savings plan, sorry. Eligibility requirements continued. It also cannot exceed 300 employees, full or part-time. It must operate independently of other firms, demonstrate business activity, and be in operation for at least 1 year. Out-of-state applicants, the firm is to be currently certified as an MWBE in their home state, should that similar process exist there. And before applying for MWBE certification, firm must be registered and authorized to conduct business in the state of New York and have a presence here in New York. All applicants must have the authority to do business in New York State from the New York State Department of State prior to submitting an application for MWBE certification. Yes, you should. Why? Because this document is also requested in the application. And if you want to learn more about how to become authorized to do business in New York, you would go to Department of State, Divisions of Corporations, or you can call the 518-473-2494 or send them an email at corporations@dos.state.ny.us. Some of the mandatory documents for this application. So in this application, you're going to have to show proof of citizenship, the ethnicity and gender, your birth records, right? You can suffice passports, military records, green cards, your driver's license, that should be here as well. Business documents will include the NYS 45 forms and W-3 forms. So if your business is paying individuals to work for the company, you will need to provide the payroll reports, which will be the NYS 45. Even if the owners in there paying themselves, you would have to show that. Any loans or credit agreements that you have out there, maybe in result of COVID, you took a loan out. We would like to see those agreements in the applications. Any leases to where the business operates, maybe warehouse or the actual office space, storage space, all those leases or agreements would need to be in the application as well. And it also says supply agreements, so third-party agreements or agreements that you have with vendors to make your operations more efficient. As a sole proprietor, in this application, you will need your business certificate from the county's clerk office and your personal and business taxes for 2021 and 2022. Partnership and LLCs, you will need your assumed name certificate from the county clerk, your operating or partnership agreement, articles of incorporation. For corporations, you would need your certificate of incorporation and filing receipt, the bylaws, your stock ledger, court meeting minutes, and again, it's the most recent year, personal and business tax returns, in addition to 2021, including the IRS 1065 and Schedule K-1 tax forms. Okay. In addition to this, your professional background, right? Owners, hold on one moment. Owners' resumes, right? With whom the certification is relied upon would have to submit their resume, their personal resume, right? Sometimes I see it where when we ask for a resume, we get a business resume. that states the clients you have did business with, and other business related or client related activity. But what it is asking for this application, like I said, is the personal resume, the one that'll show your work history, any education, any certifications, permits or licenses obtained would be on that personal resume as well. So you just be sure to have your resume updated with the business information along with any certifications, permits, or licenses that you have obtained. So there's a 1-year business activity requirement. And in result of that, we do have a waiver here. Now, this waiver helps business owners who have actually been doing or providing this service way before they actually formally register the business, right? This waiver will, allow you to complete the application without having the 1-year activity, right? So these 1-year, this waiver for the 1-year business eligibility requirement is requested in writing with supporting documentation. So you would create a letter requesting to apply for this waiver, and there are supporting documents that you would submit with this letter, in which I have that information here. Anyone wanting to know how to submit this waiver and what's needed, please reach out. I have no problem giving you that information to get you started. Also, the response time. So once you apply for this waiver, how long do you have to wait to hear back? Right, to me, it's like right away, right? Even though it's case by case, it's usually about a week or two that you would know. You'll receive an email with the approval. Now, once you do get that email with the approved, you would need to upload a copy of that approval in the email to the certification application. And that's uploaded with the certification affidavit. That'll be the first upload in the document section, right? And to obtain this waiver, you would contact the MWBE help desk, and their number is 212-803-2414, or you can send them an email at the MWBE certification at esd.ny.gov, okay? And they will surely assist you with the process of applying for the waiver. So we're going to jump right into it. This is where you would go to apply for the certification with New York State. Right? It's the New York State contract system, and I do have the link right below here. To go into this application, right, you would need to create a vendor profile with the username and password that allow you to get in and out of the application. Once you complete that, the information set up, the username and password, you are then able to go in and open up a new application. So if you see here to my left, it's the first tab, certify or recertify with New York. You click on that first tab, and then you scroll down a little bit, and you're going to choose option 1 to create an account. Creating an account will allow you to create your password, right? Your username will always be your email. The email address that you use for the application would be your username, okay? And then you would just need to create your password. But also, as you can see from this one shot here, the screen here, city skyline on it, that there's other tabs here that you could surely utilize, right? We have the update your profile. So once you become certified and you incorporate other activities into your business or anything that's added in, you would need to do an update, right, to the certification, right, and to your profile here. And doing so, you would click on that link and submit an profile update. We also have the directory here. So the third link here, search the directory, is where all the certified MWBEs are housed. So if you are looking for an MWBE to provide a service or to sell out some work to, you would surely go in this directory to look for them. Directly under that, we have the View Opportunities tab, where you can look for opportunities Contracted opportunities, over 50,000 and below. Okay. In addition, we have more like educational resources here, information. We have also account access, vendor account lookup, upcoming events, and there's so much more that you can get just from this page here. Okay. So a little bit about the application process. In this, again, I just spoke about choosing option 1 to create the business profile and username and password on the New York State contract system. Then you start a new WBE, MBE, or an MWBE certification application. The system provides the application based on your current business structure. So if you're a sole proprietorship, if you're an LLC or corporation, your application will be reflecting that structure. Electronic upload versus fax or mailing in supported documents. I strongly advise to use electronic upload, right? Because faxing or mailing is when documents get lost or they never received, so to avoid all of that, it's just more convenient and efficient to use the electronic upload. Another thing is to know your supporting documents, right? If you know what the documents are, you're more than, then you're able to upload the right documents that they're requesting, right? Monitor the date of deletion. Application would only be saved on this system for 90 days. After 90 days, if nothing else is going on with it, if you're not ready to submit, the application is going to delete, and you would need to start a new application. But if you need so, what I recommend doing, if you need more time, you can push the extend button on the application to extend the application a little longer, only by a week. And I would say, push the extend button as much as you can go, because when it ends, don't worry, you can always get it extended. You would just have to call the MWBE help desk to extend that for you. Create an MS Word doc to say not applicable. So there's some questions in this application that are not going to be applicable based on your business and the services, right, that you provide. In that case, you would just create on the Word document, not applicable. And then you would provide a reason, right, why it's not applicable. I don't have my 2022 taxes. Why, right? I didn't file a return for 2022, right? So you would just state that. Every question must be answered or you will not be able to go to the next section. If you don't have a document that they're requesting, you could also write an explanation on the company letterhead that, why you, can't provide that document as well. Letterhead makes that statement more official, I believe, right? And for more questions or to check the status on the application, you would contact the MWBE Help Desk, again at 212-803-2414, or you can email them at the MWBE certification at esc.ny.gov. Okay. So on the New York State contract system, when you're creating that username and password to create that account, you're creating a vendor profile when you do this, right? So this vendor profile is very important, right? It acts as an electronic business card. It's accessible to the primes and other firms and state agencies and authorities who are looking for MWBEs for contracted opportunities. And it may lead to potential business, business opportunities. Be sure to keep this information up to date, right? Any business can have this vendor profile regardless of the certification status. The profile is not the same as the certification application. So it's just, creating, I call it a marketing a profile, right? If you're in the system, you're marketing yourself and your business, the services that business provides. So I would say just keep everything professional and up to date. So let's jump into the application. So the first section of this application is the company profile. In this section, they're going to ask for business information, 3 years gross receipts. So you need 2020, 2021, and 2022. So if you're a business that just started up in the year, let's say we're going to be a year, December, and you haven't made any money, and in the year, like say 2020 or 2021, okay, right? You would put zeros, right? But you would need to add that amount that you made in 2022, right? Because at the end of the day, this certification is for profit-making businesses. Your business isn't making a profit, then it should not be applying for the certification. Right? You have to make money. You have to be bringing in at least $1 to apply for this certification. Okay, Section 2, ownership information. This is where you add the owner or owners information, their sources of capitalization, and the names of board of directors. We'll go into sources of capitalization in a little bit, but more so just the ownership information, right? The 51%. Who's the majority owner? If it's one owner, it's 100% ownership, so that'll be that one owner information that'll be there, right? If it's a partnership, it'll be both. It's one of the owners, the majority is 51 and the other one's 49. Both of their information would be there. Section 3, commodities and services. This is where you'll add a detailed description of services that you offer, right? And you will be able to select NAICS codes based on those services in this section. There is an account NAICS lookup in this tab, so you don't have to worry about having those codes before coming into the application, because you're able to locate them and search for them inside the application. And we'll go into NAICS codes as well a little later in the presentation. So let's jump into, I'm sorry, business operations. Section 4. This is a very important section as well. In this section, it lists the owner or the owner's managerial responsibilities. So what is it that you do there, right? There's a list of different responsibilities here, and you would list who is the one responsible for that duty, right? Also in this section, section 4C and 4D asks about previous year business activity. And then you have current business activity. Yeah, within the past 3 years, right? The last 3 years of business activity for your largest clients, right? The larger your clients, the more capacity that you have in completing jobs, right? So let's jump into section 5, right? Companies, assets, and liabilities. This section is where you would list where the business is renting, or if it's leasing space somewhere, you would put this information there. Also, if it has a warehouse or plant or yard space that the business occupies, you would also list that there as well. Section 6, relationships with other businesses. In this section, you will add your relationships with other firms, including employment. So if you have a day job and you're doing this business in the nights or on the weekends, or it's a side hobby, you would definitely have to put your place of employment into this application and your duties there at that job as well. Section 7, outside consultants. In this section only, you are going to add your accountant or the attorney for the business. They've also included consultants. So if you have a consultant that you're using for business, you would put that information here as well. I've been also added to this section for consulting, so you're more than welcome if you become a client here and I'm assisting you to add me as a consultant in this application. And then we have section 8, other certifications. It's just a yes or no box, right? You check the box. Are you certified with other agencies? So as you pass section 6, the sections become really doable, right? It's either one or a couple questions, and it's the last thing you can see. Section 8 was yes or no. So this is where I say the application is complete at section 8, right? And then we jump into the mandatory supporting documents. So These documents here listed are mandatory documents that the application is requesting you to either notarize or sign and upload to the application. So the first mandatory supporting document is the certification application affidavit, and I do want to show you what this form looks like. So let me grab that for you. Okay. So this is a certification affidavit. Now, this form is the one where you would complete and notarize and upload. And if you had to apply for the waiver, you would upload that waiver, that email approval with this form in this section. So as we go down, it's about a 5-page document. Section 2. So this is the page, it's page 4, that you will get notarized, you would sign and notarize, right? So agreement to be bound by the applicant business, each business enterprise must sign and have notarized. Okay. And this section as well, each minority or woman owner of the business enterprise must sign and have notarized. Okay. So page 5, I would say you do this unless you have a co-owner. So if there's another owner in the business, then you would complete this page, page 5. Okay. Let's go back to the presentation. So that was a certification affidavit, application affidavit. Now let's go into the attachment A. That's the New York State Certification Individual Net Worth Affidavit. Let's jump into that one. So this is the attachment A form. The New York State Certification Individual Personal Net Worth Affidavit. So this form is to be completed only for the individuals whom the certification is relied upon, right? Now, as you can see here, personal net worth of each individual cannot exceed $15 million. And then down here, you would, the name of the person, their social security number, their percentage in the business. So if they are 100%, 80%, whatever percent they are, it would go here, and the name of the business. And then you would put the net worth amount here. Right? And then you would go down to sign and get notarized, the bottom of the form. And this then will be uploaded to the application. Go back to the presentation. So the next document would be the attachment B. This is the personal financial statement worksheet. This is the worksheet that must be attached to the application if your net worth exceeds the 1.3 million threshold. So let me just get to this. Okay. And that attachment B, personal financial statement worksheet, looks like this. This is it. Basic information at the top, your name, your phone number, whether you're single or married, your name and residence. That was the name of the business at the top, and then the residence phone number. Now, this section here, your assets and liabilities, are two very important sections here, because these two sections here will help you calculate your personal net worth, right? So you'll have to enter, any information on your assets, which will be like cash on hand, anything in your savings account, any IRA or other retirement account, notes, accounts and notes receivable, life insurance, stocks and bonds, real estate, and so forth. That amount goes, here, and then this amount would be minus this amount would get you the net worth, right? So your assets minus your liabilities will get you your net worth. Now, as you can see, there are other sections. There are other pages to this worksheet that you would need to complete if your net worth exceeds, right, the $1.3 million threshold. This section here, you would complete section 1. So it's you going a little bit into detail about the information that you put in here. Those dollar amounts that you put here, you would go into detail here and attach documentation to support it, all right? And here, section 4, so does not include the primary residence. So anything after, if you have rental space, vacation houses, here, property B and C, will count towards that, right? And it says to use attachments if necessary. Other personal property and other assets. We're just going into a little bit of detail about them. Okay. Now, since it does not have to be uploaded to the application, and for those that are not sure of what their net worth is, I say use this document as a tool to get that information, to help you calculate the net worth. Go back to the presentation. And last but not least, here on this page is the ethnicity attestation clause. It's required for MBE certification. So if you're an MBE and you're applying for MBE certification, that form will be in that application. If you're MWBE, applying for MWBE certification, what I'm noticing is that this form is not in the application, and the analysts are asking for it to be notarized while it's in review. I say let's not have that happen at the end. Let's be prepared and have it in there prior. So let me show you what this form looks like. This is the ethnicity attestation clause that must be uploaded to the application to prove the MBE background, right? Your background for MBE certification. So here, you would just check off the background that you're claiming or initial it, and then you would sign and notarize this form. And then, once you're done with that, you would upload it to the application. One-page document. It is needed. It is needed for that part of the certification. So I'm gonna go back to the presentation. Okay, start from the beginning. Okay. So there are other forms in this application that you can also complete. And submit for certification with 3 other agencies. These are the addendums for New York City, Department of Small Business Services. We also have the addendum for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. There's also an addendum for the County of Erie and City of Buffalo Joint Certification Committee. These are 3 different agencies that will allow you to complete these addendums, and it's like applying for their certification a simplified way to receive certification with them. There's a few of them here. So I do call, this is one of the reasons why I called the New York State application the one-stop shop, because you're able to do this, right? So instead of getting that one certification with the New York State, you're going to end up with 4, right? If you're able to, because you have to prove activity in these areas in order to be considered for the certification with them. So if you're here, let's say Suffolk County, and you provide a service that you would have to be there physically to provide, you may want to consider think about going applying for the Erie, and City of Buffalo certification, because then you would have to go there and do that work, right? And if you're not able, you don't want to get blacklisted for not completing a project or a contract. It just doesn't look good, and you won't be able to get another contract, right? But again, every one of these addendums has its own process, right? New York City has a process, a Port Authority, and Erie. So when applying for New York City, there is a vendor number that you must have, and that vendor number will go on page 3 of the addendum, in which I'll show you in a moment what that addendum looks like. But the vendor number that you can get, that you need for this addendum, would be you apply at the Payee Information Portal. The Payee Information Portal is where you complete a registration for this vendor number. It takes about 30 minutes, maybe less, depending on how fast you can put the information in, and you get it right away, right? As soon as you're done with that registration, at the end, you'll get that number, and along with a New York City's W-9. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey addendum, you do need to have a vendor number as well. And on these addendums, they do show you how and where to go to get these vendor numbers. I just say follow those instructions, and then the Port Authority in Erie isn't like right away like the city. They do have to get back to you, right? They don't give it to you right at the end of the registration. You do have to wait to get, communicated back on with the number or the next steps. Very important topic, this slide, is the source of capitalization. So in this application, it's going to ask the 51% or owners of the company, what are their sources of capitalization, right? You must provide documented proof of sources. The business owners can use any of these investments as a source of capitalization. So if you had to purchase major equipment and you use funds from your personal accounts to pay for this equipment for the business, it's definitely a source of capitalization. How about if you had to purchase a vehicle, take out a loan with your personal, even your personal vehicle, right? If you're using your personal vehicle into this business, it's a source of capitalization, right? So I would, learn about the value of that car and that dollar amount, right? Use that as a source. Business registration fees, right? If you had to pay someone to register your business with Department of State, and then, you have that Department of State fee, definitely source of capitalization. That filing receipt for corporations, I believe is $125, $225 for LLCs. It says that on the filing receipt. We can use that document to put into that section to provide that proof of source. Also, if you purchase or rent property, right? So, and you had to use your own money out of your own account to pay for like first month's rent or first month's rent and security, definitely a source. Also, purchase inventory. You had to get supplies. You had to, stock up your inventory. right? And this is even before you even made money, right? Most startups takes a while to even generate good revenue. Yeah, so this again, source of capitalization. Last but not least, that I would, surely advise anyone in an industry that is a professional, license, permit, um, in that industry to definitely use the expertise in that industry as your source of capitalization. You don't need to put a dollar amount there, but it should definitely be listed there as one of the sources of capitalization. Now, your resume, again, this is why the resume is requested, your personal, to see what it is that you've actually done personally, right? And what you're bringing in to this business. Business description, another very important topic. So in the application, you're going to be asked to write a business description of the services that you're providing, right? And usually I see one or two sentences, go into this section, and it really doesn't do justice for the applicant to have only one and two sentences in here, because again, we have the MWBE directory, right? And in this MWBE directory is where these activities, these descriptions are going to be housed, right? So those buyers, those primes, subcontractors, other MWBEs looking for MWBEs to subcontract work out to, will all see this, right? Now, this first example here, I provide environmental consulting services. Okay, that's great, right? So that's all it's saying. Okay, that's great. So what is that? What does that consist of? What does that involve? So you want to be a little bit more detailed, right? To have the buyer reach out, right? So the one below that first sentence, our firm specializes in providing terrestrial, ecological, environmental services. Our primary areas of expertise include flora and fauna surveys, biological inventories, wetland delineations, rare species surveys, and habitat suitability assessments, vernal pool surveys, invasive species, identification and mapping, habitat community evaluations and mapping, bird surveys by sight and sound, species monitoring using unmanned aircraft, i.e. drone. I mean, that was a mouthful, right? And it doesn't look like they left out anything, right? It's more descriptive of the services. And I know from looking in, maybe, a buyer, another MWBE looking in could see, right? If there's a service in there that they're looking for, right? They can see what you provide, right? And they really don't have to go back to the NACIC codes. They can see it all here from your business description, right? And then reach out, right? So again, whenever you're doing your business descriptions, they must be descriptive as possible. So I talked a little bit about the NACIC codes earlier. So NACIC code lookup. There is a NACIC code search in this application. You would use this to search for your codes for your business, right? But just keep in mind that the code selected must represent the current business activity. So you have to currently be doing those activities to claim that code, right? And the codes for activities that you're not yet performing, they will not be approved, right? But just know that, like I said earlier, the codes can be updated along in the profile. So when you do a profile update and maybe you increased activity or changed or whatever the activity changed or whatever, you just note that new code and request it in the profile update. So the application process when you submit the application. So after you work really, really hard to get all those documents in and completing this application, and you push submit, you sign and submit this application. The moment you sign and submit this application, it goes into phase one, right? Once it's received, right? It goes into phase one, the application intake. And this is when it ensures the criteria for the certification is met and that all the documentation has been submitted in the application. So this is why I really strive to have a complete application in when it's submitted, so that we do not have hold up the review process, right? So this is what I strive for, and working with me one-on-one, this is what we'll do. Okay. Phase 2, document verification. This is when the documents that you put in the application are verified, right? And then if there's other documents needed, they're going to request it at. They're going to request it because maybe there's more clarification that they may need. Once that's done, once it passes phase 2, it goes to phase 3. This is the compliance team, and this is where those NACIC codes are going to get assigned. So based on that activity and those supporting documents that you put in the application to support your business activity, it's going to determine which code you get. And I suggest doing on the agreements, signed agreements are preferred between you and a client. On that agreement, you want to write the NACIC code that you're seeking on top of these agreements. Now, if you're going to use an invoice, depending on the industry you're in, put it on the invoice. Either way, you'll need the copy of the agreement and the invoice with proof of the payment received, right? So either way, they'll see for that code, you did through your invoice or the agreement, the work was performed and you got paid for it. So it'll all be there in phase 3. Now, phase 4 is the last phase, and its decision support determines the application outcome. So whether it's approved or denied will be in phase 4. So we have the MWBE application status. Again, I strive, recommended you contact the MWBE certification help desk for the waiver request, just knowing, about the process, if you want to know about the application, if there's to extend the application, and, what's going on with your application, right? Once you submit it, it's been a while since you've heard back, definitely reach out to them. Okay, they would guide you through. And at this moment, I do want to take some time because I know we went through the presentation without questions, but I want to take this time for anyone who may have a question about any of the material I just covered. You're free to unmute or put it in the chat.
Kenya?
Yes, hi, Tina.
Yes, I have a question. Other than the basics, like not getting the documents in that they've requested, what have you seen in the past that might make them say you're denied for the certification?
So it had to be operated, controlled. It had to be like you have to be the one doing everything in the business. Like you have to be independent. Things like that will get you denied. So if you're in a business and it looks like you may be in a partnership with another business, maybe because they're giving you the work, right? It could be a reason for it. Or if you are, let's say, in an industry that you have no expertise in, let's say you were a school teacher and now you're operating a construction business, and without any qualifications to operate.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for the most part. Question in the chat. So Miss Jennifer did put our email address and phone number in the chat. So if you want to reach out to set up an appointment with me to go one-on-one on this application, please, you're more than welcome to send us an email or give us a call to set up that meeting. Are there any other questions? this is a long process. I mean, it's a lot of information. And working with someone to get this application done would be priceless, right? Less headache. Clients that I've worked with, it takes about maybe 4 sessions when we're actually done with the application, and it goes by. As long as you are charged with, getting that information into this application by the next meetings, it really does go by the time. Before you even know it, it's already in there. And the stories about turnaround time, with the application once it's submitted, I mean, it's quick, right? Working with, I say, any of the EAC centers, especially with me, I do advocate for our applicants, our client applications. So, yeah, just, if you need help with these applications, just reach out, and, we'll start setting up meetings.
Our website link is in the chat.
Oh, okay, thank you. The website link is in the chat. You're more than welcome to check out the website. Also, I'm just going to jump into this announcement. All right. So every year, we have an MWBE forum that is conducted in Albany. This is an awesome. I can't express how awesome this event is for MWBEs. I mean, you actually get to meet these buyers right there at those tables. You can see it as an image here on the flyer here. They're at the tables, they're ready to meet you. I would advise, when you do go, to go with your capability statement, your business cards, and start building those relationships, right? When those opportunities come up, you'll be the one they contact. I mean, relationship building is key in procurement, right? And this year, this MWBE forum is happening on November 14th, which is right around the corner. It's a short notice, but and it's one day only, right? This one day from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I strongly advise you, even if you want to just go just for the experience, if you're considering the certification, I mean, just go. There's a lot of information there. There's breakout sessions. I mean, on top of building up your network, I mean, this is awesome. And this happens every year in Albany, right? And we do have the ones that are regional here, right? And local, some in Suffolk, some in Nassau, like the PSE&G, LI in Uniondale. Yeah, every year they have that diversity conference there. So, I mean, you just have to, and you get notifications of this to your email. Once you register in the New York State contract system, again, that opens up a whole nother door for, awareness for the certification and what's out there. And what do you need to do to become certified? And, it goes over everything. It's education that they provide for the MWBEs, access to capital. If you get a contract and you're certified, I mean, access to capital is out there for you. It is. You need to cover overhead. You have to pay employees to work a contract. There is money out there for you. So I do want to let you know about our upcoming business development workshops that we're having here on Saturdays, in addition to our Thursday evening webinar series. Our next Thursday webinar, November 16th, will be our Access to Capital webinar with True Fund Financial. If anybody is familiar with them, they do provide lending services for MWBEs, right? And, just for those looking for a loan or any other funding, you will go to apply with them. He'll be here. They'll be here letting us know what we need to apply for their loans or any other packages that we have for funding. On Thursday, November 30th, that's going to be a really, really big one there. And I would advise those who are certified and those who are thinking about certification to sit in on this webinar on the November 30th. Are you ready for government contracting? That's about procurement, right? So what happens when you become certified? What would you do? What next, right? There's so much to do. And come to this webinar, you'll learn what you need to do to land that contract, that opportunity, secure that opportunity. Right? And then Saturday, November 18th, we do have computer training classes here. So we have a beginner, we have I want to say the courses are friendly to both beginner, advanced, intermediate learners on Microsoft Office Word, PowerPoint training, Excel, and Access. This course it's computing for business, so definitely to brush up on those computer skills, you should sit in on these classes. It is in person in the office here in Brentwood, and it's going to be in room 103. So if you're considering brushing up your skills on MS Office, definitely come to this training on the 18th at 10 a.m. On the 18th as well, so there will be 2 classes going on, and they're about the same time. So boost your business with social media and Canva. Another great class to be in to learn how to market or use the tools on Canva to market your business. Right, a great one to sit on. And then also we have on the 18th, and that'll be in the afternoon, QuickBooks training. So, for small businesses that need to incorporate an accounting system into their business, QuickBooks is the way to go. And we're providing this class, this course here at no charge. So please take advantage of this information that you'll need to help efficiently run your business. Okay. And lastly, we do have an attorney here who will be intellectual property attorney here to discuss the laws of intellectual property, right? Definitely sit on these 2, actually all of them are all great business development workshops. If you have the time to attend, you should. Okay. And I just want to take the time out again to ask if there are any other questions before we wrap it up this evening. If you have not or would like to register for any of these programs, Jen, are you able to put the links into the chat as well?
The links are directly into the website.
Up on the website. So please click on that link in the chat and, register for any of these classes here and the webinars. If there are no other questions, I believe then we can wrap it up this evening. I do want to thank everyone for coming on and listening to me speak about the MWBE application process, certification application process, and the supporting documents. If you want to reach out to do one-on-ones to complete this application, please feel free to reach out. The email and contact number is in the chat. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.